Hello folks, I'm out for a walk. It's an afternoon walk or after lunch walk, one of those. And I'm approaching Three Friends Park in Coral Springs here. It's got a little bit of hill on it, so I'm walking over to it to walk up to the top of the hill. And the reason I'm doing this is I just got back last night from that wonderful 50th rally for the BMW Motorcycle Owners Association. And I did a lot of walking. We were there for 4 days at the fairgrounds there in Richmond, and we did a lot of walking. And I thought it'd be good to keep up that habit a little bit. Obviously, when I was there, we were walking all day long. I think I did several miles a day, honestly. But I'm probably not going to do several miles a day anymore, but I am going to do a little walk. I'm going to try to do a little walk after lunch or in the afternoon or something. So there's this park that has a hill built on it. Here, I want to show this to you. See how there's like a hill that goes up to the top of this spiral sidewalk here. And all of these homes, they have canals on the back of the houses, and that gives everybody waterfront property. But when they dug out the canals, they piled up all the coral rocks that they chewed up, built up this hill, and then made a park on top of it and put this spiral sidewalk leading up to it. So I'm just gonna walk to the top of it. I'd like to do this nearly every day if that's reasonable. I'd like to start doing that nearly every day. I have a walking stick. I don't necessarily need the walking stick, but I thought it'd be nice to bring along. And some days might be nice to bring the pipe with me. Now there's a spiral, so it's a not a very steep walking that goes all the way around the far side, then up to the top. But some days I might just go boom, right up to the top, right up there, boom. And we'll see. But at the rally, there was a lot of climbing this one hill that led up to the mansion because there was campsites up there, but there was also the seminars that were held inside the mansion, which has like boardrooms and conference center type room situations, you know. So I don't know, over the next however long, maybe you'll see some progress in my ability to drag my butt up the hill or not. So let's see, what was the rally like for you guys thinking about maybe do I ever want to go to a motorcycle rally? You know, the MOA, the BMW MOA, it's not your typical motorcycle crowd. It doesn't have guys with black leather vests and chaps and loud Harleys and all that. The BMW riding community kind of has a type. There's exceptions, but it's a lot of old white guys. It's a lot of old guys with white beards, lots of retirees. You know, BMW motorcycles are not cheap. Their owners club skews towards the retired crowd. They like to travel. They like to ride long miles. And that means having lots of free time, having plenty of time off from either work or being retired. So now that's a generalization. There's exceptions. And there's a small contingent of both minorities and women and minority women, and that's really good. And I seem to see it growing compared to the rally I went to 4 years ago with this same group. Also, more younger people this time than there were last time. Yeah, an increased number of younger riders. We just had a storm blow through. I don't like to talk about weather too much on YouTube. I think it's boring, but behind me there, we did have a storm blow off to the north, and after storms it's frequently a little bit less humid. It's kind of nice up here. There's a bit of a breeze up here too. So yeah, so the demographics are slightly starting to slide a little bit towards younger and more diverse groups of people. So that's kind of nice. It means maybe the club will last beyond the next generation, which is great. Just realized they have lifeguard rings and rope along the edge of the canal down there. It's kind of cool, I guess. I'm sorry, I digress. I'm distracted. It's a nice grove of trees down by the side of the water down there. There'd be a nice place to go down and have a sit under the shade sometime. That'd be nice. So we drove up on Wednesday night. Wednesday morning we left at 3 a.m. and then got there Wednesday evening in time because I wanted to see the special musical concert they were putting on for the volunteers. Doug and I volunteered on Thursday at the check-in booth. We worked, I don't know, like 4 hours or something checking in people who were arriving on Thursday. Check-in process was very efficient, very well run. You get logged in, you scan a barcode, and then boom, you're able to log people in. But every time somebody asked a question and then we checked and found out the answer, that added to our knowledge so that more and more questions were able to be answered competently by ourselves. So we enjoyed that on Thursday, and then we spent the rest of the afternoon just walking around and looking at the vendor hall. Oh, there was hundreds, had to be hundreds of vendors. The vendor hall was huge. It was in a gigantic building where you would normally hold like a state fair type situation. It was called the Farm Bureau building. So I imagine during the state fair, it's full of pigs and cows and chickens and horses. But it was very nice when we were in there. It was full of motorcycles and motorcycle gear, motorcycle vendors, and a vintage motorcycle section where members could bring in their bikes and enter them in the show, have them judged for whatever categories they judge. Friday, our friends Scott Lindroth and Bill Sneed arrived. So we met them at the arrival booth, walked them through check-in, and then showed them around what we had been able to discover. And we also attended a seminar on Friday morning early. It was put on by our friend Wes and his friend George Mangicaro. So Wes Fleming and George put on a seminar troubleshooting BMW motorcycle problem. George is extremely knowledgeable in that area, and so is Wes. I'm at the top of the hill. I've reached the peak here, and as you can see, as I survey all that surrounds me, I am the master of all I survey. So I'm just gonna sit on this little park bench here and relax a little bit and talk to you maybe a little bit more. So Saturday, Friday morning seminar, then met with Scott, showed them around, took them for a little tour. And then Friday night, we went out to dinner together into the city of Ashland, which is a little bit north of Richmond. Ashland styles itself as the center of the universe. As a neat place. It's a train town. So it's got train tracks running right through the middle of town, down the middle of the street. It's one of those places with cars going up and down the street on both sides of the tracks. And there's a live webcam on YouTube under the name Virtual Rail Fan. You can go to their channel, and they have dozens of different stations and locations on webcams for trains. But Ashland, I think, might have been their first one, and they have 4 cameras on the intersection there. We visited that rail station, waved at the camera, took some screenshots, and chatted with the folks on the live stream there for a minute. And then we walked over to the restaurant that's at that same intersection called the Iron Horse. And if you're thinking of the Iron Horse for motorcycles, think again, because the Iron Horse is the locomotive, of course. And Ashland has been an active and busy rail town since the 1840s. And the Iron Horse has a bar on the corner, but also a very nice upscale restaurant. We got some wonderful food. And then we went back to Scott and Bill's hotel and sat in their lobby just chatting for like another hour and talk. Which is great to get caught up with your old friends, you know. So that was Friday night. And then Saturday morning, another seminar, a walk around with Scott and Bill looking at the campsites. We saw the campsites, and we also visited the designated campsite area for the Airheads Beamers Club, and that's the club for the vintage air-cooled motorcycle owners. And they had their own designated area with just a large party tent and technical demonstrations, a space where you could put your bike on a lift and have someone help you work on it, a nice lawn where everybody's bikes were parked, and most of them were under some sort of repair of some need. People selling all kinds of various parts, etc. The interesting thing about these vintage 50, 60, 70-year-old Airhead BMW motorcycles is that parts are still available for them. Newly manufactured original equipment parts are available for these 50 and 60-year-old motorcycles. Leave a comment and tell me the exact year they went away from air-cooled motorcycles. And think of an air-cooled car, right? An old Volkswagen Beetle or any of the old air-cooled automobiles you remember from days gone by. These are air-cooled motorcycles. So the Airheads Club, they were fun to visit. Nice folks. I bought a t-shirt and stickers, and then I rode around the fairgrounds. We traded bikes. Scott Lindroth and Bill both came on vintage Airheads from the 70s, and I put Scott on my Triumph Tiger from the 2014s, and I rode his 1970s. I think his bike is a 75. I can't remember for sure. Scott, you can leave a comment if I'm incorrect. 75, but it's an R90/6, so that should be easy to look up. I rode his bike around the fairgrounds. We took a little tour of the campsites and the vendor hall and the food truck area. I forgot to even tell you about the food up there. They had, food truck food, fair food, what you would expect: burgers, fries, corn dogs, peanuts, popcorn, funnel cake. There was a German food truck that was reasonably good, and ice cream and Greek food, and there's a lot of food. But we took our little motorcycle ride around there, and I rode the R90 around. And you know, I gotta tell you, I kind of fell in love with those old tractors. They're pretty fun to ride. Everybody's head turns when they see one of those vintage machines rolling by. You just smile at them and wave. Hey, how's it going? It's a vintage dude on a vintage bike. And you know, they're not that expensive. You can pick up a running 50-year-old BMW German motorcycle under $5,000 all day long, easily. And they're so easy to work on. The resources out there in the community, the YouTube videos, the books, the manuals, the community of help is there. And like I said, the parts are available. We grab the camera and move it just for the sake of cinema. Let's get a slightly different angle and a slightly different view, so it's mixed up a little bit. So yeah, that was our Saturday. We spent our day. We had lunch together, dinner again together somewhere. We went to a well-recommended pizza place, an Italian place in Ashland, and I had a really good stromboli. It was at Vinny's, which is on US 1, a ways down south of Ashland. From there, we went over to where we had been staying. Doug and I had been staying at Doug's sister's house. We sat on the back porch with Scott and Bill, and our bud Wes came over, and we sat on the back porch and had a good time. We did a little wrap-up video, which was awesome. And but more importantly, we spent like another hour just sitting on the back porch talking about our experiences, and also Wes gave us some glimpses behind the scenes of working at the MOA. And Sunday morning we picked up and packed up and drove home. It was like a 14-hour drive on the truck, just like going up. Bill and Scott rode their motorcycles home for their 3-hour ride back home to Raleigh, Durham. Doug and I got in. We got in last night. This is Monday morning. I don't know, like 10 o'clock or something. It was a good time. I think what I'm going to do is pack up and walk back down the hill. I'm going to give you guys a nice panoramic view out over the view from atop this mountain. This is a Florida mountain. The park is called Three Friends Park. If you ever want to visit Three Friends Park in Coral Springs. You saw the address there on the beginning when I showed you the sign. Three Friends, named after, there was 3 resident friends who used to come up to this park and watch the sun set all the time. And I guess the 3 of them unfortunately perished in a plane crash when they were flying over to the West Coast. This park was renamed in their honor. I'm going to go for a walk and head on back down. I'm not going to take you guys for the rest of the walk because I think I've talked enough. And I'll listen to my AirPods on the walk back. So thanks for joining. Thanks for sticking with me this latest. You know, interesting analytics comment on our channel here. Anybody who makes it past the first 30 seconds or so, almost all of them stick with us till the very end of the video. And I appreciate that. People really, once they figure out what the video is about, they stick with it and hang out with us. So that's really nice. We get to know most of you through the comments, and I love it when you guys comment because we have a little conversation. And then we've met up with many of you guys in real life after the fact. That's how we met Scott Lindroth. He was a commenter and we got to know him in real life, and now he's a contributor to the channel, right? So friends of the channel, you know, folks who ride with us in real life, then, you know, we invite those folks over to our Discord channel. We have a private Discord channel for the folks we've ridden with and met with in real life, and that's a way for all of us to keep in touch. And there's, I don't know, 20 of us or so hanging out and chilling. How we met $100 Eric and Haney Moto Josh, and just all those great guys. Of course, Jed's up in Vermont. Jed's Moto, if you haven't ever checked out JEDZ, Jed's Moto, that he's great. But yeah, so leave a comment and maybe we'll get a chance to run into you sometime and ride together. That'd be awesome. Another curious analytic is very few of our watchers overall are subscribed. Of course, the folks who leave the repetitive comments, they're subscribed, and we don't have 0 subscribers, obviously, but we have a very low number of subscribers relative to the number of viewers. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking, man, I'd like to get in touch with these guys, maybe go on a ride sometime, start hanging out, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, dummies, because that's how you get notified that another video is coming out. You leave a comment and I have a talk with you on the chat, and then next video you leave a comment and I remember your name and see you again, and then next video comes out and you leave another comment and we start to talk, and then we start to hang out over the chats and maybe, you know, the ancient method of conversation known as email or something like that too. And then eventually we meet up and hang out. So subscribe to the channel if you're not already and you're still watching at this point. But I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. And I implore you from the bottom of my heart, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye.